was an interview that Keith Richards did. He had a book, an autobiography that came out a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago. I never read it. But I did read an interview with him someone sent me. And in the interview, he, the person interviewing him says, "So Keith, now you're a top rock star and you've written your autobiography and there's really not much left for you to do. Well, what do you plan to do with the rest of your life?" And he says, "Oh, I plan on staying alive as long as I can to prevent myself from meeting Satan." And and I'm not sure that he was joking or not, because it was a written interview, but it seemed like an odd thing to end an interview with. And
I'd say,
yeah, and I'm starting to see this all over. Of course, then it recalls the Rolling Stones song "Sympathy for the Devil," in which Mick Jagger posits himself as the devil, and also the Rolling Stones had an album called "On Her Satanic Majesty's Request," which is also a very interesting thing. Brian Jones, who was the author and the pusher of this album, "Upon Her Satanic Majesty's Request," died a few months after it came out. He was drowned in a pool accident in his home in Los Angeles, and he was the founder of the Rolling Stones, and of course Mick and Keith then took it over, even though he was the founder. There's a lot of suspicions around that, and it's associated with the Manson cult and the Laurel Canyon cults, and Dave McGowan, and I think you've ran this special that he did on the Laurel Canyon. how most
I need to get him
on.
I've got to get him on about this. I keep slipping through the cracks here.
Yeah, his whole Laurel Canyon. Not all Laurel Canyon artists from the '60s were contrived by the military and the CIA, but a lot of them were. The Byrds, David Crosby, a lot of them did come from military backgrounds. Jim Morrison.
Yeah. Tavistock.
Yeah, it was almost as if these were the problem children, and what they did was they then sent them into this cult to try to change the generation. And this goes back to John Phillips, who is the lead singer of the Mamas and the Papas. His best friend was Scott McKenzie. Scott McKenzie sang John Phillips' song, "Are You Coming to San Francisco?" in which it was a call out to all the children, the broken, lost children of America, to come to San Francisco and meet some, quote, gentle people there. Well, gentle people is a euphemism in the pedo cult for themselves. Be gentle with them. And Scott McKenzie was John Phillips' best friend. John Phillips named his daughter Mackenzie Phillips after his best friend Mackenzie. She became a big star.
Big druggie, too. Yeah.
When she was about 25 or 26 years old, she came out and said that she had a 20-year ongoing incestuous affair with her father, John. And so we can start seeing, what is really going on behind even the hippie movement of the 60s. It was, I'm not saying it wasn't in some ways genuine, and there wasn't a lot to be alienated about in America at the time, and the war and everything, but there was a subtle call to attract a large group of very broken, lonely young people to San Francisco, where there is a large underground pedophile cult. And I'm not saying that it was all that way, but I'm saying that there was a large part of this, and we have to grow to accept this. That the 60s, in a lot of ways, were very contrived and created by people whose interests weren't at our hearts. For instance, Colonel Hubbard was a CIA agent, and he went up and down the West Coast literally giving away millions of hits of LSD from 1960 to about 1964. In fact, JFK probably got his LSD from Hubbard through Judith Exner. And Hubbard was pure CIA. And we have to ask ourselves, well, why is the CIA ordering LSD from Sandoz, giving it to a guy who then passes it out for free and virtually on his own creates a CIA cult? And then, we can jump a little bit, downstream to Timothy Leary, who who admitted on his deathbed that, he worked for the CIA. That, he was asked, he said, did you work for, intelligence agencies? And he looked and he said, what am I supposed to do, work for the KGB? And so we have to ask ourselves, well, why? Are they doing this? Why did they create this? Why are they spreading this? What's the point of it? And I think it's to, as Jan Irvin, my friend Jan Irvin, who's a great researcher, and I'll bring him up after the break. I'll talk about him. As he says, it's to weaken our souls. It's to weaken us internally so that we're more malleable. And I think actually, I think there's benefits to maybe some LSD and mushrooms, but I think only to some people. I think
agreed.
A large...
If I used to see this a lot, people taking it who were not, how do I say this? They weren't glued together right to begin with. They had bad upbringings, tragic childhoods. They didn't know who they were. They didn't know where they were going. And those people should not go near LSD.
No.
If you're constructed properly and have your feet on the ground, it can be a fascinating, remarkable event. It can be a life-changing event, not radically necessarily, but it can really expand. Remember, when it first was talked about in the late 40s, very late 40s, psychiatrists were hailing it as the greatest pharmaceutical tool that they had ever had.
It was to psychiatry what the telescope was to astronomy.
And
that was what they were saying.
And
they did have great recidivism rates in prison working with it, giving it to people who were mass murderers and, violent people, and they really, truly had remorse. So it's not to say that it wasn't, that, those things aren't interesting and everything, but, we have to ask ourselves, why are these agencies, and don't forget, it was the CIA that did all the early research on LSD, including causing many deaths by people jumping out of windows. And so we have to ask ourselves, okay, so why are they doing this? I mean, and I can't actually give 100% answer. I can only give you the evidence that people like Irvin and McGowan and me and some others are digging up about the whole thing.
Okay, very good. When we come back, I'm going to do a couple of YouTube videos with other very famous entertainers talking about how they have sold their souls or made a deal, a pact with Satan. And there are quite a number of them. And we'll do that with Jay in just a couple of minutes. Don't go away. Kanye West, am I pronouncing his name right?
I don't know. I read it, but
I can't.
I'm so unhip, I can't tell you. I know he's married to a Kardashian. Poor girl.
From one way or the other. Kanye West, and then
Kanye, yeah.
Katy Perry.
Yep.
All right, and then Keisha, whoever Keisha is.
Yeah, Keisha, right.
And it goes on. We'll see. All right, here are a couple of those sound bites. Oh, and then we'll have the Bobby Zimmerman piece in there again.
I sold my soul to the devil. I know it's a crappy deal. Music came with a few toys like a Happy Meal.
Now, listen to the audience. Okay?
Yeah, I know. They love it.
This is key to the whole process. The reaction from the audience.
Remember, you have to. It has to be your decision, apparently.
Yeah.
You have to acquiesce to all this yourself.
And play that again. Kanye West.
I sold my soul to the devil. I know it's a crappy deal. Music came with a few toys like a Happy Meal. What was going on?
Here's Katy Perry.
And that's how I got introduced to the music industry. I swear I wanted to be like the Amy Grant of music. Yeah. But it didn't work out, and so I sold my soul to the devil.
How I came about being a lyricist is weird, because I started out technically, like I used to write all the time, before I started going into the Rain Man thing, you know.
The Rain Man thing. The Rain Man is another term for the devil.
Absolutely.
Here's Bobby again.
Well, it goes back to the destiny thing. I made a bargain with it, you know, a long time ago, and I'm holding up my end.
What was your bargain?
To get where I am now.
Should I ask who you made the bargain with?
with the chief commander.
On this earth?
And this earth, and then in a world we can't see.
Okay, those are just a few of the artists who openly admit to selling their soul to the devil. Most mainstream music artists have sold their souls to the devil, and most of them will in some way refer to it in the lyrics of their songs, or they'll openly say it out loud. They don't play games. They just say it. I don't know why, but they do.
Because maybe it's true.
Well, it is true, but I mean, they've got no fear about it. It's strange. It's becoming okay to do because they say it, right? So here's
that's the point.
Here's Lady Gaga. Let's see what this is all about. If I can get this to play. Oh, I got to wait through an advertisement here. She's continually reinventing herself, if you notice, trying to change her image so radically. It's quite remarkable to watch.
She doesn't have any talent, so she has to do that.
Any day, people are going to finally figure out, if they ever study the music industry, that talent is almost a handicap. You don't want to. They can do anything they want with digital. Anything. They can make anybody sound like they have a voice. They can make anybody sound like they're competent. It's ridiculous. It's like making a movie and you can't act. If you have 100 takes, sooner or later, the law of averages is going to make you look like you know how to act.
Yeah.
All right. Here's Lady Gaga. Let's see what this is about.
Super Skank from the Synagogue of Satan, whatever this hoe's name is, had made an interesting statement in the past when she was on Jimmy Kimmel's show, where she just, said that she prays to Lucifer, or swears to Lucifer.
Yeah, well, sometimes they don't want to, and they're, Gaga, we can't get, the frequency's weird, and, it's sounding a little bit strange, and I'm like, if you don't get this right now, I swear to Lucifer, I'm gonna, I get a little bit mad, and I'm like, if you don't get this right now, I swear to Lucifer, I'm gonna, I get a little bit mad.
Lady Gaga's 15 minutes of fame have all but faded away, and she's been replaced with newer super skanks like Kesha and Rihanna, but I thought I would highlight this just to show, in case you needed any more pieces of proof, that she is a satanic skank from the Synagogue of Satan, and in my opinion smells like an STD. And it's not just the Illuminati symbolism that gives these artists away as being Illuminati puppets or Illuminati wannabes. All you needed to do was listen to the garbage music, the lyrics. Just take a look at their personal lives. Take a look at the agendas that they're pushing. I mean, if you needed to see some Illuminati symbolism, or if you needed to see them flashing a triangle or covering up one eye to be convinced that they are supporting the Illuminati, that they're kind of giving a hat tip to them, then you've been blind or deaf, or both, this whole time. Because all you needed to do was just simply listen to what they were saying, or look to see what they were doing. Aristotle once said, the ancient Greek philosopher said, that if you listen to the wrong kind of music, you'll become the wrong kind of person.
Okay, well, she said, swear to Lucifer.
Yep.
Not swear to God. I swear to Lucifer.
Yep.
That's not an accident.
No, it's prevailing. It's everywhere, and you're right. It's become hip and cool, which was the whole point from the beginning. And honestly, you have to ask yourself, well, why would they be going out of their way to make that the whole point? Mm-hmm. And maybe because it's true.